A call for peace. A woman stands beside her silver Chevy on a quiet street, reaching into her purse to retrieve her keys. Suddenly, you jump from the shadows behind her. Pushing her to the ground, you speed away. Don't you see? She is the doctor who birthed you. The man slowly climbs the stairs to the platform, heading home from a long, hard day at work. Suddenly, you jump the fare box behind him, pushing him onto the tracks. Don't you see? He was the neighbor who caught you when you fell from the tree. The grandmother reads quietly before going to sleep, seeking an escape from the cancer she faces. Suddenly, you break through the front door, ending what had been a peaceful, giving life. Don't you see? She is the woman who taught you to draw at school. The student returns home after gender-confirming surgery, learning how to live with a new identity. Suddenly, you appear in the vestibule, beating them until they breathe no more. Don't you see? That was your best friend in kindergarten. The refugee leaves a burning home, hurrying toward the border with only a backpack. Suddenly, your troops attack the theater where she sheltered, killing her and the child within her body. Don't you see that war destroys all that gives us life? Why don't you see? What monster lurks inside you? Don't you see that hate destroys the hated and the hater? Can't you see that we are connected through our common humanity? Turn from darkness to light while there is still time. And we who see the crime, turning away and losing hope, must continue to bear witness and speak out, not letting the boot of hate kill the flowers, but embracing, teaching, and living love. And now, to change the pace a little bit, this is a more celebratory poem. It's called Here's to the Women, but I also want to thank and acknowledge the men in our lives who open their hearts and their minds and allow us to be who we want to be. I wrote this poem for International Women's Day and for Women's History Month this year. It's dedicated to my friend Karen Santella, who would have celebrated her 76th birthday on International Women's Day. She was a friend since 1976, a woman who was out there on the front roads in Boston whenever there was a demonstration for peace, justice, women's rights. She loved sports, and she was a singer. It's also for all of the women who've enriched our lives, and in the course of the poem, you'll hear the names of some writers, actors, singers, songwriters, and women who've changed the world. And while her name is not in this poem, we could very well add Madeleine Albright, whom we lost today. Here's to the women. Here's to our birth mother, who gave us life and nourished us, who gave us wisdom and strength, who sometimes failed, but always loved us. Here's to our adoptive mother, who didn't hesitate when we needed a home, who took us in and showed us family, who often worked harder to gain our love. Here's to the grandmother and godmother who opened their hearts to us, who became the one we shared secrets that we could not share with our mother. Here's to the nurse, the doctor, the rabbi, who took care of our body and our spirit. The teacher, the mentor, the counselor, who taught us knowledge and the ways of life. Here's to the friend who joined us for tennis and volleyball, who stood on the front lines for peace and justice, whose presence and voice left an indelible mark. Here's to the scientist, the inventor, the leader, who improved our lives and changed the world, the factory worker, shop owner, and bus driver, who make our lives better. Here's to Emily, Kate, and Zora, to Virginia, Maya, and Tony, who wrote us into history, who transported us to other worlds. Here's to Marlena, Greta, May, and Catherine, to Betty, Sally, Meryl, and Cicely, who taught us about glamour and comedy, strength and life. Here's to Bessie, Alberta, and Billy, to Josephine, Ella, and Marion, who showed us the highs and lows of life and ways to overcome adversity. Here's to Mary, Ronnie, and Holly, to Odetta, Tret, and Chris, who reflect and inspire us, who use music to change the world. Here's to Elizabeth, Susan, and Sojourner, to Lucretia, Ida, and Harriet, who paved the way with their blood and tears, who gave us the power to vote and be heard. May we honor their achievements, draw lessons from their lives, share their gifts with our children, and light the torch for others. Thank you.